Welcome to Black People Love Paramore, a podcast where we try to make Black people feel seen. Please rate us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars only because we are 5-star bitches. Word to your Gotti. I'm your host, Sequoia, and today joining me to talk about house music, returning to the podcast, we have Jordan and Ryan. Do you guys want to reintroduce yourselves for the new fans?
What's up? It's Ryan. I'm excited to be back on the podcast. I am working on lots of fun things, and I will talk about them when they're ready. Sequoia knows some of these. You see some of these ideas. I'm becoming a little bit of a writer. So you'll be seeing some written pieces from me coming down the pipeline. Yeah.
She's a writer.
It is I, Jordan Coley. I'm here. I'm glad to be back on this podcast, and it feels like coming home, it feels like being where you're supposed to be, you know what I mean? So, no, it's really good. I'm just happy to be here. So thank you guys. And I'm looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah, it's homecoming. It's homecoming for sure.
It's a renaissance, if you will.
It's a renaissance, if you will. Wow. Look at that. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about house music, y'all. Before we get into house music, obviously we're going to talk about Beyonce. We're going to talk about all the things. Before we get into that, we're going to go into In My Defense. I didn't really prep y'all. This was very last minute because Beyonce's album dropped last night. But I have an In My Defense. I will start off. If y'all think of one, feel free to say it. If not, don't worry about it. My In My Defense this week is that movie theater nacho cheese is the only acceptable cheese on the planet. It's the only thing that is not disgusting and gag worthy. And it's actually a delicacy and it's delectable. That's my In My Defense. It's fantastic. I will eat movie theater nacho. I would probably drink it through a straw if given the opportunity to. It's fantastic.
It's plastic. It's like not cheese. It's like quite literally you consuming plastic.
Okay. What you saying?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. My bad. You're like,
what you saying?
And what about it?
Yeah. And what about it? Yeah. I put worse things in my mouth. Yeah.
Do you?
I have definitely put
top 3 worst things you put in your mouth.
I'm not even going to.
Because I think you're trying to go sexual, and I don't think that penis is worse than that. I don't think it is. I really
Some penis is worse than that.
Okay. You know what? Fair.
Not penis in general, but some. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Okay, sure.
We've discussed this before.
We have. Yeah, interesting take. Yuck. I'm sorry for you and your digestion because you don't even eat regular cheese. So, what about that?
I imagine the lack of dairy helps, does something good for the stomach. It has good vibes, something like that.
Mm-hmm. No nutrition, just vibes. I like that.
Yeah, 100%. Why would I need nutrition? Vibes is all I need. Do y'all have anything that you would like to discuss for In My Defense? Anything you'd like to defend? Problematic takes?
I think I have one. I don't know that it's problematic, but I'm going to continue this in my defenses of defending pop music. Selena Gomez makes great music, y'all. I don't care what you say. All of her albums knock. All of them are very good. Her Spanish album is really good. All of them are great, you guys. I'm saying I consistently am like, she does have a Spanish album. You should go back and listen because it's fantastic. What? Yes, it's fully a full Spanish album she released last year, the year before. Very good.
Is Selena Gomez, You Love Me Like a Love Song,
yes,
baby?
Great song. I'm just saying. And that's what I'm saying is she doesn't make bad music. You really can't name one. Name a bad Selena Gomez song.
I can't name a Selena Gomez
song. You can't because they're all good.
Start there. I can't name a Selena Gomez song, so we could just start
there. They're all good. They're all good, guys.
Couldn't
go back and listen. I consistently am like, oh, how is she getting all these streams? Then I'm like, oh, it's me.
It's you.
Am consistently streaming Selena Gomez. She's
it's
always
definitely you.
Yeah. And I'll die by that. Her and Paris Hilton have my heart.
Interesting.
Jordan, are you thinking of one?
I'm trying to think of one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of one. You mentioning Paris Hilton did make me think of her DJ career and the model DJ. I feel like the model DJ got a lot of has been memed and talked down upon.
You mean the influencer to DJ pipeline?
Right, the influencer to DJ pipeline. This sort of way, this is the easy way to monetize your arbitrary clout or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I think some of those people know what they're doing on a CDJ. To be honest, I'd rather go to a party where it's some popular hot person who's playing things I want to hear than some shit that is cool, but not necessarily the most vibe inducing.
I feel that.
Is Paris one of those people? Is she good?
I've heard she low-key just like presses the button unless it lets it rock, but I don't know. I can't speak to that. And we're gonna talk about house music on this episode. Virgil Abloh apparently was one of those people who, like, while being like obviously more than an influencer, but influencer was part of the thing he did. He was also a DJ. He was apparently a great DJ. People were like, "Oh yeah, we hate that nigga for whatever," but he was apparently a great DJ.
That makes sense. Him being a good DJ makes sense. He seems like he has good taste.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna say also Idris Elba, fantastic DJ. I randomly saw him at Coachella once.
Oh, I forgot that he does that.
Yeah, because he has a different name. I forget his DJ name, and I didn't recognize his name. And I saw him at Coachella because he was under his DJ name, and I was like, "That's Idris Elba," and he's very good live.
What's his DJ name?
Let me look it up. His DJ name.
It's some hella British. It's like Squiggles.
Isn't it? I don't know. I can't find it right now because right now they're all just saying the DJ career of Idris Elba. And I'm like, but I need his name, and I'm like, but I know he has a name.
Okay, fair. Speaking of DJs and that type of thing, song of the week this week. I chose a house song as best I could because I am not a house music girl. So I had to Google to ensure that this was like something that falls under the house category. What I chose for this week was Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi, the Steve Aoki remix, because it's fucking fantastic. Love it so much.
Nothing makes me want to rage more than that song.
It's delicious.
That's a Project X one.
That's a Project X one, yes. Yes.
It immediately gets into my veins and like takes me back to like frat boy days. And I'm like, I want to fucking be on top of a chair, like shotgunning beers. Like, let's fucking, I want to
black out a little bit. I'm trying to see if I can black out, trying to see what's good.
Brown out. I want to brown out.
Yeah.
I want to brown out.
Yeah, at least minimum.
Stephen Aoki. I love him. Now, you guys both stopped and gave me space, but I just wanted to say his name.
All right, Stephen Aoki. Hold up. That's enough. Right.
Wow. Yeah. He or that song specifically, like I don't know if it's the combination of that movie and just like the energy of that song, but I feel like I never want to hear the original song. If the original song starts and then it doesn't immediately transition into like the I'm like, you can turn it off.
I do like both. I can't front. I will listen to whichever you give me, but I do like that Steve Aoki one for different reasons. They have different vibes, so I do like both.
Yeah. Project X, that movie really had a hold on our generation.
The soundtrack was fucking fantastic. That's why. The soundtrack was great.
I was at my 5th college reunion a couple of months ago, and we were listening. We were like sitting outside the tent, me and some friends, reconnecting, talking about old college memories, and we heard that song, and I think a couple other songs. And at one point, we just looked at each other and we're like, "Is he just playing the Project X album?" Yeah, and sure enough, the DJ was just playing the Project X, and I was like, I have Spotify too, my boy.
Right.
Like,
I can throw that on too. But okay.
I guess it did have a hold over. Did you all not want to have that party? Like, I feel like
absolutely.
I was like, I want.
Of course.
Okay, great. I was like,
yeah,
this is me.
we were definitely, like, Ali Ryann should throw this party, dude. Like, she's got a pool
for sure.
And never me though. Like, I never at my house. Like, I'm like, ooh,
I'm black, babe.
Yeah, right. First,
I'm black. I'm not doing that. I have black parents.
Right, exactly. After school's over, I put my vocal fry away and I go home and I eat my mom's Jamaican food.
100%. When I go home, I say finna. I don't say that here, but I say it when I go home, okay?
So first of all, my parents don't leave me home alone. Like, what's that? My aunt will be around the corner, so I'll be doing so.
And like, the dog gonna be at the house.
To be at the house, so I don't. I'm like, I don't know what to tell y'all. Can't relate.
No.
But yeah, wow. Great song. Great song.
Yeah,
that and then and Let Me Take a Selfie, which was college age. I feel like, I don't know if that's house. It's not house. I mean, I guess it dances. It's certainly like EDM. That song also takes me to a place. Those are like my 2 rage songs. Every time Let Me Take a Selfie comes on, it just makes me want to be like a drunk white girl dancing. Like,
right.
It's very, very that. Very, very fun.
First, let me take a selfie.
Let me take a selfie.
Well, I think that also is a nice, like, sort of gateway into talking about a thing that I feel like I've realized for people of our generation, like, house music has been sort of like conflated with like EDM, because I feel like our generation came up in the EDM boom, you know, like of the Steve Aoki's, the David Guetta, shout out to his family, the like, you know, Calvin Harris, all those people growing older, like, and learning more about the history of electronic music. You know, house music isn't really that stuff. Like that is electronic music and EDM for sure, but it's not like the house music that, like, if you said some 50-year-old nigga from Detroit or like Chicago, that's house music. They'd be like,
house music. They'd be like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Y'all don't know what house music is.
You're right, because I think it kind of got the influences got co-opted, and then it became EDM. And I feel like we like I guess like the younger generation kind of like we didn't listen to like house, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like
it does make sense.
to either EDM, and then like true house kind of went away in terms of like the mainstream space, or we didn't think of it that way. Because I think house has always had influences in things that we listen to, but it wasn't like straight up like 90s where it was like house music. Is that like, I feel like a lot of house was in the 90s.
100%. Right. Little bits and pieces lingered, but it wasn't like the overall genre that was dominating, not the overall electronic dominating genre of the time. Yeah.
And sonically just like sounds different. Like, I feel like there's a lot of
Sonic's music.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog's music.
I'm sending you my pick, Sequoia. I got this Aaliyah. Went on this Aaliyah kick last year. Sequoia knows I bought my little stereo during the pandemic. That was my pandemic thing. And then I like was buying records and stuff. And I bought this Aaliyah's like remix album. And it has, I guess in the 90s and 80s and 90s and early 2000s, they used to always release. Oh, I have a Destiny's Child one too.
Ooh, I know this shit probably goes to.
I got this Bills, Destiny's Child single.
Not with LaToya and Farrah. Wow.
And there's a digital Black and Groove club mix on this. Marie's exclusive live gig mix. Marie's exclusive dub mix. Like they would do all these like club and dance music mixes on these like pop singles. And yeah, and I feel like that one is, and I just like kind of wasn't aware of that whole like phenomenon. And I like they're so good. Imagine the song that you know and love, but like a freaky little like, you know, Boots and Cast remix to everyone. Yeah.
That's back when they used to like actually like rearrange songs and like make real remixes as opposed to just like adding a verse. Yeah, 100%. That's cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I can start talking about the little history of house music that I pulled up from good old Wikipedia right now. House music originated in Chicago in the early 1980s and spread internationally. I saw some places that said late 1970s, so, you know, up for debate. House music was birthed from disco, and like disco, was performed predominantly by Black gay people for Black gay people. And it's characterized by repetitive 4-on-the-floor beat and a typical tempo of 120 beats per minute, was created by DJs and music producers from Chicago's underground club culture when they began altering disco songs to give them more of a mechanical beat. Pioneered by DJs such as Frankie Knuckles, Ron Hardy, Jesse Saunders, Chip E, Steve Silk Hurley, Fairleigh Jackmaster Funk, and Marshall Jefferson, and Future, and others. Not Future that you know, Future PH Future. But yeah, and then it spread worldwide and it got all in that. I find that I have a hard time differentiating house music and disco a little bit, just like a tiny bit. Like this Beyoncé album is very disco to me with like some house moments. And I don't know if some people would just consider the Beyoncé album entirely house, but it gives disco for me.
I would agree. I feel like, because like the way she described it, and there certainly are songs that are like specifically like, oh, this is clearly house. But I think a large chunk of it is that like solid disco section. And like you said, it like is a derivative of disco. Mm-hmm. And so like you have like the Donna Summers, like the Grace Jones, who like were coming up at the end of the 70s and into the 80s. So they kind of like lived in that world. And those are also like two gay icons. So like It makes sense that like they would have that space and that influence there. But yeah, I think that's cool to know that it came like from the Black. Well, I guess cool is not the right word, but I'm like, of course it came from Black gay people. Because like,
of course it came from Black gay people, right? I feel like you can say that about so many music genres. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. I was listening to it, and like it was a lot of disco sound. But that "Break My Soul" in particular is like a '90s house song, like to the T. Like
it is.
Yeah, that like even down to those like that like synth that sounds like I don't even know how to describe that synth, but like dun, 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 you know, like that synth in particular is such a nice. I feel like that honestly, when you talk about like genre differentiation, it ultimately comes down to like a few select sounds and a few select like synths that people are using, and like the sounds that come with those synths. Like ultimately, that's the difference between West Coast funk, G funk, and like East Coast hard hip hop. You know, like there's so many. Like, it basically just comes down to like a few little sonic signatures, like little tweaks, like that. Like we all had this one keyboard that we were sharing in Long Beach. That's why like half these songs sound this way.
True.
You know what I mean?
Why that shit sounds like that for sure.
Yeah, it's like we all learned how to do this one thing, and like I feel like it's the same thing with other like with house and disco. It's like one distinction that I feel like kind of exists is that like early 80s house sounds like disco because there's a lot of real instruments, a lot of like
orchestra,
like a real electric bass, real like organ, and like, you know, and real drum kit. Whereas like the further you go into 80s and early 90s, everybody became obsessed with drum machines and synthetic instruments and stuff like that. So it sounds a little more like plastic and cool in that fun way. Yeah, artificial in that fun way.
Because that was the sound that everyone was going for in the 80s because it was new and weird. They're like, we can like make all of this like this orchestra strike and make it all sound weird and funky, and like everyone pushed for it. But I think that's what kind of makes the difference for me between disco and house. I think house specifically sounds more artificial than disco. Disco sounds like, oh, this could potentially be a band making these sounds, where like I think house always has it. And the other thing for me is like I think what sounds good on a runway. I don't know what about a runway feels specifically 90s, and I think most house music feels like, oh, this is runway music. Like Tierra Whack's Walk the Beat also has that like house like dun, 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 and it's like a strong pulse that's like this is a runway song. I feel like that is a lot of house music. It's like this is made for a runway.
And that makes sense because house is propulsive. Like I feel like maybe that's another distinction is like disco can be more leisurely, like you're riding the groove sort of thing. But house is like is the boots and the cats. That's where that comes from. It's like the four on the floor.
It is. It's from the boots walking on the cat walk. Goddamn walk.
Wow.
Exactly. Wow. That's what it is.
They don't tell you that in music school.
Wow.
They don't tell you that
that's
in music
shit
school.
Yeah. No.
Yes. It was Miles Davis and John Coltrane walking, doing slang, giving jazz realness.
They were serving real cunt.
In Bruno Cafe.
They did. They served the house down boots. And that is how we got house music.
They don't say, yeah. Actually, what happened was Miles was in his kitchen. He slipped into a death drop. And the way the plate hit.
They said, dip.
Yeah, and they were like,
yes. And then,
right. And then we got that's how we got
ballroom. That's how we got ballroom and that's where the culture came from. So
Bitches Brew is what was Miles' drag name.
It was, and he was the first house mother. That is exactly.
Not too many people know that, right? Not too many people know that now. You getting the exclusive information right here, so. You should be happy that you tuned in. Okay, y'all, favorite house tracks, just in general. Like, do you have some favorite house tracks?
Not really. I mean, I feel like I don't know club dance music like that. Like I have some. I'm sure you could play them for me, and I'd hear someone be like, "Oh, cool, I know this song. I love this song." But I don't really. I'm not one of those people who knows the names of it. And I feel like maybe I'm speaking on my ass, but I feel like a lot of dance music fans also might feel the same way. They're like, yeah, I play it and I know it, but I'm not like...
I don't know the name, right?
I don't know the name.
All right, yeah.
No, because you're the same. It's like a lot of it is like things that we know. The other, like, the thing about a lot of house songs is that they get sampled and remixed a lot later. Mm-hmm. And so, like, even like Show Me Love or You Got to Show Me Love, like, that is like, that's the sample that is like on the Break My Soul thing. And like, that is reused so many places. Gaga's used a version of that. Charlie XCX is using a version of that. So, like, I feel like that one is like just so all encompassing that like I feel basic saying that's one of my favorite ones. But I also really love what is the one? God, it's the one where they replaced her in the music video. She is a bigger woman singing, but they put a skinny woman in the song, and I can't remember the name of that song right now. God damn it! Let me look.
I Got the Power?
Yes, I've got the power.
There we go. Right? Is that house?
I would call it house. And then Groove is in the Heart, which is like another white one. Groove is in the heart.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Groove is in the heart. Yeah. Like those two. make me get up and move. And then also anything that RuPaul did in the 90s, cover girl, put some face in your walk. Fucking great. Love it. Like all of those are fun. And then honestly, Madonna's whole like that early 90s album is a very influenced by house because she like co-opting Black people as the pop girls do. And honestly, she made a good house album. Like, I don't hate that album.
I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way. Yeah.
Like Madonna, she did a good job. Sorry, I ran on a tangent. My bad.
No. Those are good songs. I chose favorite house tracks. Again, my non-house ass, I don't know house music like that. So my first answer is embarrassing. It's actually really fucking embarrassing. And I don't condone this nigga. It's always fuck this nigga, 100%. But Chris Brown has this song with... Like the switch up of the faces in both of these instances.
Because I'm like, funny. What?
Chris Brown has this song with Benny Benazzi called Beautiful People. And it's so fucking that's a great song. Incredible to me. It actually makes me feel things in my chest. I love that shit so much. I had to Google that was house. Apparently it is considered house. I had to check all these answers. I'm like, okay. And then another one categorized as tropical house is Passion Fruit by one Drake, one Aubrey Graham.
Curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't realize that we could do contemporary house songs.
Yeah, I was just asking in general. What's the house tracks? What's the house tracks that y'all like?
I feel like, we're showing our age because, like...
Right.
There's some classics that we just don't know. I mean, I just sent you one that, like, I don't know where I heard this song, but it's really good. It's like a 90s house song called Good Life by the group's called Inner City. And it's another one of those, like, DJ with the woman singer, like, it's a good life. Oh, like there's, like, probably, like, a whole canon of, like, house singer women from the 80s and 90s who like need their flowers because I feel like all those songs have great crazy singing performances on them.
100%. And we probably know them. If we hear it, we probably like, oh yeah, I know this. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's another thing about like you were asking like what our favorite songs are. Like the house, part of why like house has had the like cultural overshadowing it's had, and now we like people like associate it with like EDM and a wider version of it is because like it didn't have the same sort of like release pop culture history as like pop music. Like it wasn't like there were a bunch of artists that were like releasing singles and like this stuff was just played in the clubs in mixes with a bunch of other shit that sounded kind of like it.
Right.
They weren't like doing music videos for these songs. They weren't like
right.
Like there weren't labels putting a bunch of money behind these artists to market them. These were just like a subculture. And so we don't know, like a lot of this stuff hasn't been canonized in the same way that like Madonna has or all these other pop artists have. So it's like this parallel.
I think also because it's attachedness to queerness is the other side of that. That like I feel like there was like because it was like it was a Black queer thing that would have made it very hard for it to ever really go mainstream, particularly in the 80s and 90s through Black queer artists, just because like that was just not. There would have been no way to like have that really, really pushed out. So, I mean, like to your point of like it never really having this kind of like archival, like why we don't know those women's names or why we don't know like, because there's lots of like ballroom like people or I'm trying because not necessarily drag queens, but also drag queens who made house music who would have never been household names. And like Beyonce sampled I forget the queen she sampled on Pure Honey, like that Miss Honey. Yes, Miss like that type of thing. It's just like it would have. Those type of artists, I mean, for Ru's faults that RuPaul also has, Ru did open the door for lots of queer people and lots of drag performers to then become mainstream. And it's interesting that only now are they being celebrated in a way. Because I feel like Ru's been around for forever. So I'm curious as to why now.
Yeah.
I feel like queer, specifically blatantly queer and drag artists are like just now popping off.
And what's my actual first introduction, now that I think about it, to the house, like classic house music to classic, like that type of dance music is Daft Punk. And that was through, was through 100%. Kanye. Because Daft Punk, those two French niggas love classic 80s and 70s house music. That was their whole thing. They were like, we're just doing the shit that we like listen to.
What did them and Kanye do?
Well, Kanye sampled Stronger, harder, better, harder, better. And that's how I learned about Daft Punk. And so, and then I started listening to their stuff from the early 2000s. Their stuff from the early 2000s is just their white French nigga version of the thing that black people were doing in the 80s in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
And so like that was like my introduction to that type of music. So I feel like like there's like it's funny like this is like that weird cycle is and like that happens in like other genres too where like the Beastie Boys kind of function that way in hip hop. Like the Beastie Boys, their late 90s albums were sounded just like early 80s. They were around in the early 80s too, but they were just their late 90s albums were doing early 80s hip hop in the late 90s.
So now I'm curious, is that because I'm like, now that you say that, that makes me think of like, because two other house songs that like are more contemporary that I was like, oh, these are great. Katy Perry's Swish Swish, fun house song, very fun. I love it. Her and Nicki are on that. And then also Gaga's whole Chromatica album, but specifically Babylon, sound like house music. And I'm saying those albums sound like 90s house, but they are white artists doing it in the mid 2010s. And now here we are in the 2020s and like Beyonce and Drake are doing it. So I'm like, I wonder, is it not all cyclical or like, what are your thoughts on kind of like now house specifically kind of being brought back into the fold by very big black artists? I'm curious as to
It is all cyclical, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting why this is happening now.
I feel like, like people eventually and so many pop mediums, like people just go back into the archives and look like, wow, this shit was cool. Wow. Like, do people know about this? It's like, it's new to them and it's new to most people. So they're like, let's bring this back. And that's the unfortunate thing where everybody's like, give them the flowers while they're still around or whatever, because like this does happen. Musicians become like iconic 40 years later when they're like a bus driver in Chicago,
right?
Instead of when they were a 20-year-old kid trying to make it.
Right. I've been seeing that people are saying that like in times of political unrest or like discomfort, people look for escapist music, and house music is like notoriously escapist and like happy and elevated and that type of thing. So they say that house music resurgences always correlate with downturns in the economy or recessions.
Oh, girl, what you saying? We're about to be broke.
Yeah, no, they're saying that we're going into a recession, like dead ass. Like Beyonce dropping this was like the nail in the coffin that we're going into the fucking recession for real. And I said, oh my God.
Dang.
Not quit your job. It's that your job's going to quit you, babe.
Your job's going to quit you, babes. So quit it while you're ahead, sweetheart. Leave with your dignity at least. She's trying to tell you. Yeah. So that's what I heard. But speaking of Beyonce, did y'all listen to the album? Initial thoughts? All those things.
One of my first thoughts, because on one of the first songs, like she does that thing where she kind of like talks over the track. She's like, oh, there's the one where she's like, it's not my stands, it's me. I'm that girl, whatever.
Yes.
But she said one of those lines. I'm like, who wrote this for her? Like, we're like, she's like some sort of slang where I was like, this is not how you speak, Beyonce. She was saying, she said, dead ass.
Yeah, she did say dead ass.
I'm dead ass.
She said these tracks are hot because it's me, dead ass, pretty much, some shit like that.
Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, Beyonce, you don't talk like that.
Chloe and Halle in the studio. There's definitely Chloe in the studio.
Yes,
she had Fabio Foreign in there, and he was like, say dead ass.
Oh, God.
Beyonce, say dead ass.
Right. Fabio did use a Beyonce sample recently. Beyonce had to clear Fabio Foreign sample and told him it was too dirty. She made him go back and clean it up. Yeah, she said, you can't be talking about women like this.
Much.
Oh, wow.
I forget. I think it was a Destiny's Child sample, was it not? I believe it was.
Oh, yes. I heard that song. I know that song. Yeah.
I think it was Destiny's Child sample. But yeah, she did. She said, clean it up.
She said,
like,
you can use it, but fix it.
Also, we need to stop this like sampling 2000s hits and not barely changing them and then putting them back on the radio.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you go back and listen to some of the early 2000s hits that sample things from the 70s, they don't change it either. I think we're just old enough to realize the originals. And so it's like, oh, because like if you listen to even Crazy in Love, which obviously a great song, if you listen to the sample, she literally just lifts that sample and plops it down
same shit.
And then sings over it. Yeah, it's the same. There's nothing to it.
Well, there's a song on the new Beyonce that samples Tina Marie, Rick James's White Queen. We know Tina Marie in this house.
We do. We know her.
The surprise was not Tina Marie. The surprise was I didn't know the sample, but I love Tina Marie. Absolutely.
There's a Tina Marie. I listened to it because I saw that I was looking at the credits and I said Tina Marie. I was like, oh, what song is it? It said sampled Ooh La La. So look up Ooh La La, and the Tina Marie song is Ooh La La La.
I didn't hear that. On this album. She must have interpolated the fuck out of that.
It's something on there, but she sampled that song. But that song is I only know from the 2000s song. Who does that song? Ooh la 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 la.
Right.
Who is that?
I don't know.
Some 2000s R&B girl sampled that. And it's in it. I listened to the Tina Marie version. I'd never
Trey
heard.
Songz. It was Trey Songz.
Oh my god!
No.
It's Trey
Not
Songz.
another of the problematic bitches. Oh my god. Wow, he did put your hands in the air if you fucking tonight. Wow. Yikes. We are 2 for 2.
While we're here, I wanna read this. So I have a Tina Marie record, and I want to read the back dedication she has on it, because she was on some true white queen shit.
The photo, you guys, is Tina with a bunch of black kids.
Children. Yeah, it's like her with like a tribe. Like Angelina Jolie. It looks like very Angelina Jolie with her tribe.
It looked like, right,
It's
Angelina Jolie and her children.
It's giving Angelina. Okay, let me read. Let me do a dramatic reading of the back text. So the back text says, "On the Venice rocks, just me, the master, the children, and my box.
The master.
Just the whom, Tina?
Blues and sounds, decibels high. 20 questions, tell me why. I have not 20 answers. Tears in Atlanta, tears in Liverpool, tears in my bedroom when they chased me from homeschool. Nigger lover this, and nigger lover that."
Stop it.
You're being funny. She does not say that.
It says it right here. It says it right here.
She printed, that shit went to print.
She printed
Multiple
it
people
all
laid
right.
eyes and said, yes, nigger lover
said-
this. Yeah, they did taunt you.
Nigger lover that.
Nigger lover that. Barry Gordy, Motown Records. He was like, yep, print it. Print it.
And she said, nigger lover I am.
She said, and I am the master. She said, master, I cried in my bedroom with these niggas. Nigger lover this, nigger lover that. I can't believe this. I can't believe
No, she was fully wildin'. But then she made Square Biz on this record, so I'm talking Square Biz to you, baby. Square Biz.
That's actually the shit. Let me add that to my Spotify like songs right now before it leaves my head.
Yeah.
And you're playing your new playlist, nigger lover this, nigger lover that.
Right. Nigga lover this, nigga lover that, for sure.
That needs to be a playlist. Actually, you need to make a playlist. I need a nigger lover playlist.
Stay on the lookout for that, y'all. Y'all can see the nigga lover playlist.
You can put Jennifer Lopez, all her old stuff on there too. Her I tell them niggas, they don't say that needs to be on there. All that needs to be on the nigger lover playlist.
Right.
All of that needs to be on there.
I told them chipping my niggas, but they don't hear me though.
Gwendolyn, she can go on there too. Gwendolyn
definitely needs to get on there. Absolutely. Put Gwyneth on there.
Back when they need to get on there. My God. But yeah, no. Wait, you asked the question. Now I'm trying to
Beyonce. What was the favorite tracks? What was the favorite tracks from it? Just off the top.
I think let me go to my favorites.
I'll start then while you go through that. My favorite tracks from it were Church Girl, Virgo's Groove, and Alien Superstar. Alien Superstar really has some, you know what's good about the album, just in general, side note, it has really good moments where she changes cadences and it's jarring and it's like exciting, where she, the transitions are seamless as fuck, like, and that's crazy to me. And the production is very layered and just really strong. And so there's just like really good moments on the album. Tyler, the Creator, has this interview where he talks about, he tries to create moments in all the things that he produces. So like he'll change the drum pattern for a second, just to like, create a moment. And this album has so many of those fucking moments. It's fantastic. Those 3 songs in particular, I feel like have a lot of moments. Alien Superstar, is that the one that's called? Yeah, Alien Superstar fully sounds like a different song at the chorus to me than it does in the rest of the song. And the chorus is outstanding. It's like such a soaring, happy sounding chorus. I love that shit.
Interesting. I don't dislike Alien Superstar. I keep trying to listen to it because I know it's one of your favorites, and it never
gets there for you. I feel like you have to be like,
fun.
I'm not super in until it gets to the chorus. I feel like if you're like kind of lightly listening because it hasn't pulled you in, you have to be paying attention when the chorus comes around. And then it's like, okay, what the fuck is this? It's actually great.
See, for me, I think my top 3 are Pure Honey.
I love that one too.
Thick and Summer Renaissance. Pure Honey is so fun because there's so much Prince on it. It literally becomes a Prince song in the back half. the beginning is just so like, it just makes you I just want to like dance and move. It's truly just pure. I also love the Miss Honey, the sample, like someone who has been to balls and like does drag like that. It just like brings out such a fun energy to me. Like I legit just want to like start to like skirt across the floor. Like I want to do drag to that song. So I love that. Summer Renaissance also just makes me feel so fucking sexy. Like it is just so like, damn, I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling my I just want to like go out, have fun. It makes me feel like I wish this would have come out during Pride. This whole album in general is very like, we deserve during the month of Pride to be out in the streets dancing to this, as opposed to like, because right now it's fall. I'm like, I'm over it.
It's fall.
done.
It is fall. Yeah,
like,
summer's over.
It's back to school. Like it is. It's fall. You're in New York, Jordan. You should be excited for it being fall. It's hot there.
It's hot. No, it's nice here. I like it.
Oh no, I need to eat.
He said, "Don't put that over here. Keep that energy over there."
Yeah, in California, this is our fall too. But yeah, and then Thick. I like Thick. I don't like the switch up on Thick. The switch up makes me like it because it's building and it's like a trap beat at first, and then it kind of switches and becomes like, I guess more housey. And I'm a little like, oh, I think I wish this drop would have dropped differently. I don't dislike it, but I think I like the beginning more than I like the end. But yeah, those are my three.
Jordan, from the front half, did you have anything that kind of stabbed you, that stuck with you? You looked at the track list and was like, what's this?
Cuff It really was the one for me that like jumped out.
That is a one too.
Cuff It really jumped out for me. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, Alien Superstar was cool, but I think Cuff It was the one that really like caught me.
Make you want to skate. I want to get on. I literally am like, I want to get on some skates.
It is very skatey. I've been hearing a lot about Cuff It. People really like that one, and people really like Cozy. Cozy's didn't really smack me like that. Cozy didn't really do that. I like the lyrics of Cozy. Like I think it has good lyrics, but like the actual sound of it, I was like, like it's all right.
And I think I'm more of a lyric person.
Okay.
At least especially the first couple of times I listen, I think the lyrics usually would pull me. And I think the lyrics of that song what really makes me like, ooh, I like. But I agree, production-wise, still good. I don't think she produces bad music.
She doesn't.
But that one to me lyrically hits me more than Alien Superstar. There are a couple bars in Alien Superstar where I'm like, this is fun.
Speaking of production-wise, let's talk about that nigga Drake, who also came out with the House album earlier this summer.
Someone said that he heard Beyonce's album early, and that's why he named it Honestly Nevermind.
Wow, because he is credited on this album. He's credited on Beyonce's album. So he probably was like in the studio listening to that. He said, you know what? Honestly, never mind. Give them niggas this shit right quick. Right, drop this right now. They can go ahead and have it right now. And as he should have, because it literally, compared to the production on Beyonce's album, Drake's album sounds so fucking cheap to me. Which is, I mean, fair. It is Drake versus Beyonce. Naturally, Beyonce would have a bigger...
You think?
Beyonce has more money than Drake. So, yeah.
Does she?
Yeah. Beyonce's a billionaire, babe.
No, she's not. I don't think she is.
I don't know it's about the money. I feel like Beyonce is generally more conceptually and ambitious than Drake is.
That is.
Yeah, and
fair.
like that comes through in the music in a way that Drake sort of like... I think feel like he picks a vibe and he like selects the people he thinks can help him achieve that. And he goes for it. Whereas Beyonce, like, it feels grander. I feel like she has people. She has like she's like Marvel. You know, she has like people searching for the right shit. You know, like, and I feel like there's more like high concept to it.
It's a conceptual album. It's a whole album. It's a project, right?
And it's rigorous in a way that I feel like Drake isn't as rigorous.
No,
he's a singles queen. Drake is very much a singles girl. Like let me just crank shit out that's hot right now. Whereas Beyonce creates like a full story.
Yes.
Yeah. There's I'm sure there's a crazy deck. There's a mood board. There's,
for sure.
They're doing a whole, like, it's like a film, like they're doing a whole production around it. Whereas I don't think that's how Drake works exactly. At least not with this record.
You know what? I feel like they live on different ends of the spectrum. Like, I feel like Drake, I don't want to say pioneers, but Drake like kind of brings things to popularity that have already been popular. Kind of brings it just like back to mainstream top 40 level popularity. He does that often. And then Beyonce kind of trails that and does it really well.
Perfects it.
Like she like perfects it, right? Like she kind of trails that and like makes sure that it is a fantastic product that she's putting out. Whereas Drake, he did like the early house shit with Passion Fruit, like talked about before. And that album came out in like 2017. That was years ago. So he's been playing with it. He just wasn't like playing with it seriously. He was just, he put out the album. He's like, here's a cute little thing for the summer. Like how Sweetie said, I want to give the girl something for the summer, something to turn up to, something to dance to, whatever. That's very Drake. Whereas Beyonce's like, no, bitches, y'all gonna sit down and fucking listen to my album and y'all are gonna love it. And she's right.
Yeah. She finds a way, like things that are hot, she will take them and perfect them.
Yep.
And not necessarily as setting trends, at least not musically.
Exactly.
Not necessarily setting trends musically. That's fair. Because honestly, even if you think back to like Lemonade, like she played with so many different sounds. And like, you're right, none of them were like necessarily like new, but it was like a lot of like, oh, this is a really good version of this type of music.
100%.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very, very fair. But yeah, I feel like when I listen to Drake's album, nothing stood out to me except for the 21 Savage song, because it was like the only song that sounded like a Drake song.
Mhm.
And everything else I was like, to me, oh, you know who else we haven't brought up who I think deserves to be discussed in a house way or in a house conversation? Azalea Banks, who makes great house music and consistently has made great house music. Yeah, I'm like consistently, Broke with Expensive Taste is a bunch of house music and it's fucking great. And I feel like people shit on Azalea Banks and she's been on this before. Like she's been on this wave for honestly her whole career.
Her whole career. This is what her whole career has been. All of it. Yeah.
And I feel like I don't want to say, oh, her apologies, because I'm like, I get it. I get it. She's Azalea Banks. But I feel like moments like this make me sad that like her personality takes away from her talent, because she is so talented. And I'm like, this could have been a great opportunity for Beyonce to be like, I'm going to put this girl on and 100%. Like, and then like been a thing. Cause I'm like, yes, 100% this is a line. And I think Drake's album, I only bring this up because I'm like, people used to say Azalea Banks' music sounds like Forever 21 music, and I never felt that. But I feel like Drake's album specifically sounds like it belongs in a mall, where I'm like, Azalea Banks' house music is actually good. And I feel like his stuff is just like, yeah, it's all Forever 21. Like, it's just on in the background. And it was just happening to me. And it's not like...
Yeah, because Azalea Banks' music and her persona and her person seems to be steeped in like the energy and the culture of like this type of girl, you know, ballroom, of like this type of like doll. She's all about like that her performance of femininity is very like ballroom. It's very Come
on, that's who she is, truly.
That's who she is. And like, whereas like Drake, for all his talent and like marketability, is just like an expert like trier on of things. He's like a really bland model, to be honest. He's like one of those people who like looks good in a lot of stuff. Yeah. And it can be convincing in a lot of stuff, but really, you know, he's not. He's like one of those actors in those early 2000s, like black films, like Soul Food and shit like that, where like, you know, the male actors in those movies always look too good. You know what I'm saying? Like they almost like always look a little
too perfect, like right? Like
too perfect. Yeah. Like we're like, okay, yeah, this is a version of this thing, and it feels like some sort of ideal, but it doesn't really feel like it has life in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like most niggas don't look like Shamar Moore. Most niggas ain't walking around like that.
And I'm like, and I will grant you that Shamar Moore is a nigga in the world from America.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. He's real, right. But like he's not most niggas. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel about Drake. I'm like, this music is cool and like and fun and like feels like some sort of like ideal of something, but it doesn't feel like real in that way. And like for to use that
very
word.
Fair. It's background music. Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Azalea Banks couldn't fake it if she tried, you know, like
she could not. Wow, poor Azalea Banks. Wait, we talk about every problematic person on this damn podcast. We talked about Trey Songz, we talked about Chris Brown, we got Azalea Banks, Kanye was mentioned briefly. Every single, oh my God, how many of those people are Gemini?
To be fair, Azalea is different. A lot of them. Azalea is problematic in a better way, I would say, if that is in her defense. I think she's not an assault. I don't think she's like assaulted anyone.
I mean, yes, no, hold on. 2 of these people are assaulters and 2 of them are not.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's start there.
So I'm saying, I'm saying, I feel like Azalea Banks is problematic in a quote unquote better way. Like,
for
her
sure.
Problematic is just, like she's not assaulting people.
We just want you to shut the fuck up, Azalea. That's really what we want you to do. Same for you, Kanye. We just want you to be the fuck quiet. The other 2, we would love for you to keep your hands off of people. That's super ideal. And keep your peen to yourself. That is super ideal.
Yeah, Jesus. Why is Lil Baby on tour with Chris Brown? we as the Black community really are not letting go of Chris Brown
at all. And I'm like, I'm not saying he's not talented or anything like that, but I'm like, when's the last time Chris Brown gave us something?
Nothing.
Right.
Chris Brown has been giving us nothing for a decade.
For a while. He's given us the same album literally for 10 years.
And I think that's what it is. Like, I feel like he's fulfilling this need. He's doing that almost like the way that like older generation goes to see like new kids on New Edition every 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Where like he's giving us that thing that we're familiar with, and we're like, oh yeah, Chris Brown is like a song about like sex in a girl and like, you know,
right.
and like being in the club. Yeah. And it's like, it's pop, you can pop to it a little bit. And like, that's enough. Like, he really hasn't done anything of note, but like he's done the thing that like we kind of like and expect, and that's good enough.
And I guess, I don't remember if he gave himself this title or if people gave him this title and he ran with it, but he really is the light-skinned Bobby Brown. And like, I remember like that was a thing that people would say about him. And like, he is kind of, oh yeah, that's like
you know what? And I won't take that either. If y'all should actually go back and like watch Bobby Brown perform live.
Oh,
yeah. And while I have seen Chris Brown perform live, and Chris Brown is good live. Bobby Brown, though, there's something so incredibly magnetic about watching him perform. It's not like he can sing. He can't sing. But he's so, the presence, it's like this, it's just there. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Right. And my man's not cute. So it don't, it's very much just pure talent, pure ability.
And he's from Boston. We don't talk about that enough. He's from Boston.
Wow.
A Black Bostonite. Right? Put it on.
That makes sense.
New England.
New Englanders. Wow. But back to the Drake album. Do y'all listen to it one? Do you have favorite tracks from it? I can go first if y'all need some seconds.
I listened to it. Most of it was like literally just happening to me, which I feel like a lot of albums this year have been.
True.
Like, it's on and it's happening.
Yes.
I think when I remember distinctly when I listened to it the first time, Sticky stuck out to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that 21 Savage song, which sounds like a wholly different song. I think it's the only song on the album.
It's the only rap song that's like,
that's like the only Drake song on the album.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Anything 21 Savage does, I love. So there's that. I also Calling My Name was the only other one that I liked. Those are the three that I liked.
Is that one where he goes, same thing down me?
Yeah. Yes.
Calling.
The way Jordan's throwing his body, if y'all could see it.
But you guys knew what I was talking about, right? You knew what I was talking about, right?
Yeah, I got there. Yeah. You got us. You know what you got us there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's called pantomime. I'm a clown. I went to clowning school.
You're a clown.
I love that. You are. You heard it. Clip that and on a loop. I'm a clown. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, I'm a clown. Well, yeah. When we do my true crime episode on NBC, they're like, it's me in black and white. I'm a clown. Boom.
I'm a clown.
Literally right. That's it.
It's Ryan. Ryan's like, the signs were there. We just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, we did.
We knew it the whole time.
He told us.
Yeah.
Oprah says when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
And he gave clown from the beginning. We knew. Right.
They superimposed a red nose on my face.
A problem.
It's so stupid.
Actually, a problem. But yeah, I felt similarly when I listened to Drake's album first, the first way through, I was like, this is just happening. Like, it's just going on in the background. And then TikTok made me like Massive. And I liked Sticky the first time I heard it in the first place. And then obviously Jimmy Cooks. Is this Jimmy Cooks or Jimmy Crooks?
Jimmy Cooks.
Jimmy Cooks. That one's fantastic, but that's also not a house song.
Black Coffee is all over this album, who's like this South African producer and DJ. My roommate was one who pointed this out to me because I'm not super familiar with Black Coffee, but he apparently is an executive producer on the Drake record. And so he's his own, he's like African house, like, like that's kind of his lane. And I feel like, this Drake record feels like one more contemporary than the Beyonce sounds that she's going with.
It does,
and it has more of, and like in classic Drake fashion, has more of an international flavor to it.
It does. It definitely does.
Fair. Yeah. Are you calling us tasteless? That's what I'm getting that you're calling us. You said it's international as if we don't enjoy.
No.
That's what
I'm just trying to
subtext.
Make some distinctions here. I don't know. I like they feel different to me, and I was like, why is it? And I think part of it is that Drake is doing he's trying to do like his like UK. West African.
Jordan said it's because he's been places. That's why they feel different. That's why it feels different to him. And for us, since we have not.
First of all, I've never been to the continent. My sister, first of all. And if I have, I would have talked about it very differently. See, this black star I have tattooed on my forearm is for our ancestors.
I'm done. The ancestors probably hate these niggas.
Every time an Afro beat,
like, get them out of here.
Every time there's an Afro beats track, I know somebody is rolling over. They're like, please stop.
My friend Airbus Ghanaian. I don't know. I never know how to pronounce it.
I say Ghanaian, but I've heard people say multiple things. Yeah,
multiple things. I say Ghanaian. So Airbus Ghanaian, and she was like, she remembers going to Accra one summer and mad like Black American. I think it was like during the pandemic or something like that. Everybody was like, we're going back to Africa. We're gonna go to, we're making our pilgrimage. It's time. The world's ending. This pandemic. We gotta go back and like see, touch land one time. Touch road in our homeland. And so it was mad like Black Americans from like like Atlanta, wherever the fuck, like wearing like the wrong type of garb, because each country, each tribe has their own
pattern. That's not a thing.
Garb and patterns and all that shit.
Yeah. And they were like wearing the chief's robes, like throwing up, like
no. Like, it's actually embarrassing. Like it is.
Yeah.
There's like this whole discourse in college about whether or not African Americans could appropriate like different African cultures, right? And I firmly stand on yes, because you're appropriating it if you don't know what the fuck it came from, or you're just throwing the shit on your body, you're doing it wrong. Like, yeah, you're appropriating it. I don't know a different way to put it. Just don't do that. Nobody says that you can't reconnect your roots. Just don't be throwing on whatever that shit you found,
doing. Yeah,
right, at the fucking Goodwill and put it on. Don't do that.
It's flossing.
It's not cute.
It's the same way that I wouldn't expect somebody's name like Connor MacDonald, who's been living in New Jersey his family's lived in New Jersey for 200 years, to know what the fuck to wear in Scotland. Like I don't, you don't know the fuck, he's not Scottish. Like I'm not Nigerian. Like I'm from Connecticut. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like
I don't know. So either learn it and do it right and give, give the necessary tribute to who it came from, or just leave it alone. Like I feel like it's not that hard.
It's also okay to just be like, you know what? I'm not doing that.
Right.
Matter of fact, I'm not gonna go to Accra.
I'm not, because you're gonna touch land. Yes, I agree. Do your research. Do your fucking research.
Do your research. Don't be entitled to cultures that are literally not yours. It's literally not. Like, don't do that.
I recently learned via I feel like all my education the last 3 years has just been like somebody will tweet something, it'll end up on my feed, and I'll do like 5 minutes of Googling about it. And like, I'm like, wow, I learned something today. It's like, and it's not learning anything at all, but like, I feel like I did. Well, that happened recently. And it was like, somebody tweeted something about how in the 70s and 60s in certain parts of rural Africa, I want to say West Africa, there was this whole trend where they became obsessed with American country music because the sound of the voices was so foreign and funny to them that they're like, that's so cool. And so there's a lot of like, apparently like 70s and early 80s African music that is sung in English in a country Western style. And and he had links, like YouTube links to it and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And so like, that is all to say that appropriation goes both ways and is like and our cultural histories are way more weird and complex than we think about it usually.
Than we think they are.
Yeah.
100% on that.
Because we've been globalized for so long, We've been trading weirdness for a long time.
People and everything. Anyways, that was too far.
I mean, yes.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I said it.
You're not wrong.
No, that's the truth. We did that. Absolutely did happen. Right.
Yes. People were
traded.
On that note, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. Do y'all want to tell the people where they can find you?
Sure. I'm on Twitter. My name is Jordan Coley. I'm on Twitter at GIFGORDON, Jif Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
That's I love that name. It's such a good name. It is. You can find me on all socials at this point. I think I've updated them all at Good Guy Rai. Wow. At Good Guy Rai. GUD. You know what I'm saying. Good Guy Rai. That's all. I can't say
GUD, GUY.
RY. It's because I'm not Bad Girl Riri. It's funny.
It's Good Guy Rai. Naturally. Right.
I'm Good Guy Rai, not Bad Girl Riri.
Lord Jesus. And per usual, you can find me at BPLP Pod across all platforms. You can DM me. You can tweet me. You can email me at blackpeopleloveparamore@gmail.com if you have ideas for an episode topic, or, if you have any other things that you would like to say to me.
That Tina Marie episode needs to happen.
I know. I've been like planning a Tina Marie episode for a really long time. I have like a lot of episodes in the works right now. So
nigga lover this, nigga lover that.
Nigga lover this. That's what I'm gonna title the episode. That's what I'm gonna title the episode. Nigga lover this, nigga lover that. 100%. All right, y'all.
Wait, maybe cause you could go for it.
I'm just stopping recording. Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.